Hey guys, Huang here, and today on The Dive, we are going to dive into one of the most popular waterfalls in the United States. This is the one and only Multnomah Falls. Welcome to another episode of The Dive, a series where we go through some of my favorite photos and I show you guys the settings and the behind the scenes of what it took to actually get this photo. This is probably one of my favorite waterfalls to photograph in the United States, and it is only 30 minutes away from Portland, Oregon, making it extremely accessible. Once you park there, the waterfall is only a short 5-minute walk, if that, from the parking lot. So it is a very easy to get to waterfall, but absolutely gorgeous. First off, let's dive into this photo. I absolutely love this photo. It was taken from the base of the waterfall, and you can see that the bridge itself is absolutely clear, which I love. There's just no people on it, and that was hard to get. More details on that later, but I love the composition. I love the fact that the waterfall at the bottom and the bridge are aligned and centered, but the waterfall on the top is a little off-centered. It's on the side, and there are people who move farther to the right to get that perfect line of the upper waterfall and the lower one. However, I love the fact that it's just slightly off-centered, and I think that that's an awesome composition. And the bridge itself is just absolutely stunning. Like, let's look at that. It's a gorgeous addition to this waterfall that makes it just so surreal. So let's go into the specs. This photo was taken on my D750 with my 16 to 35mm lens. It was taken at f/18 with a 5-second exposure, ISO 100, and a focal length of 29mm. I recommend trying to use a wide angle lens if you're trying to capture the vast majority of the waterfall. If you're using anything more narrow than a 35mm, it's probably going to be too cropped, and you're not really going to be able to get the kinds of images that you want unless you're going for something that is more cropped in like this, and this is a fantastic crop. But if you want to grab the whole entire waterfall, then you're going to want something on the wider side. A 16 to 35mm lens is going to allow you to capture all the compositions that you want with this waterfall. It's going to be fantastic, unless you want some more zooms. But from a wide angle perspective, a 16 to 35 is pretty much what you're going to need. So for this image, I also used the Polar Pro Variable ND filter, the Peter McKinnon edition. This is 2 to 5 stops. And you'll see here, if we put this over the image and we twist this, this is going to make it darker. This is going to allow you to capture long exposures. So the reason I use that is to take a long exposure without having to go crazy on the settings. And as you can see in here, what that did is that created a smooth, kind of dreamy water look. As opposed to if we didn't use this, it would have been a lot harder to take this 5-second exposure without crazy settings. And I think I actually tried without the filter at first, and because it was so bright out that day, I wasn't able to get the amount of long exposure that I actually wanted without the neutral density filter. So that's the look I was going for, was more that dreamy water look. And if we go and look at a different image, this is an image of the waterfall without doing a long exposure, and this is when you can see all the details in the water, and that's essentially what I didn't want. I wanted that smooth, silky look. This is a different photo that I took a few days earlier. I'll explain that more in a second, but this, you can also see there are a lot of people on the bridge. This is usually what it looks like. It's pretty crowded and there's always people walking around. So it's gonna be hard to actually get the shot without people in it. So for me, in order to get my shot clear and without people in it, I actually went and I waited about 30 or so minutes on a day that was not too crowded, but there were still people there. But it took about 30 minutes for there to be a lull in the congestion on the bridge, and there was actually a clearing. The clearing was only for about 10 seconds, so I had 10 seconds to snap away and grab all the compositions I wanted. So I was zooming like crazy, trying to get every composition I could think of within those 10 seconds before someone finally showed up again. The other thing to note is that if you look at this image, this was taken on a cloudy day, which made the waterfall, in my opinion, more moody, and that's exactly what I was going for. The photo that I showed earlier, this one, was taken on a sunny day. This was a few days prior to the second image, and I have an image here as well of the long exposure version. So again, we have the dreamy waterfall stuff. This was taken with the neutral density filter on a sunny day. Not quite as long. This was the most I could get was about a 1 second exposure before the highlights started blowing out. But this was not the type of image that I was going for. You can see the sun on the sides here, and it was a lot of shadows and harsh sun coming down in one direction like that, and I didn't like it. So we actually came back a few days later when it was cloudy so that I could grab that more moody image. So that's one thing that you're going to want to know, is that if you want the moody image, it's really got to be cloudy, because the sun just isn't quite the same if you're going for that more moody type of image. But again, you can take really great pictures on a sunny day as well. I just wanted something that was more moody. I thought it fit the waterfall better, so that's why we went back so I could take this photo. In order to get rid of the people in the photo, if you don't have the opportunity to stand there and wait forever, or if there just does not seem like there's any sign of anything calming down as far as people traffic goes on the bridge, there's a few things that you can do. The first, obviously, is photoshopping people out, and that can be extremely tedious when you're trying to Photoshop this many people out. This is actually not even that bad. There's much worse as far as people traffic on the bridge goes. I think this one is a little more crowded here. So you can Photoshop all the people out. It's a bit of a hassle, and I'd rather not try to do that. So the alternatives that you can do is you can actually take a long exposure. If it's not too sunny out and you can do an even longer exposure, say 10 plus seconds, then people that are moving through the frame are going to get blurred out, and most of them probably will disappear unless they're standing there for the whole 10 seconds or a vast majority of it. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is to snap a lot of images, say one every 5 or 10 seconds for some duration of time, and so you get a series of images that you can merge together in Photoshop or Lightroom later, and that the software will go and try to balance it out by only keeping the things that are consistent in every photo, which if people are moving around, most likely they'll end up disappearing, and the consistent things such as the background and the bridge and all that stuff will end up staying. So that's another way of doing it, and that's my preferred method of doing it over the long exposure. And then from there you can just use Photoshop to clean up a few of the remaining artifacts that linger on there afterward. So you'll notice that the waterfalls are surrounded by green in this photo. This photo was taken in May when the green trees and the grass started coming in, and it really made the waterfall pop and gave it a nice accent of color. However, during the different seasons as well, fall is a spectacular time to go check out this falls, where all of these colors are going to be different. They're going to be those reds and yellows and browns and those pretty fall colors, and that's going to look amazing with the bridge as well. And winter is also a fantastic time to go check out this bridge, because if it does snow, then the white snow cover along with the falls and the bridge and everything is going to look spectacular. So this is something that you can check out year round. Again, it's very close to Portland, just 30 minutes out, so very convenient. And this is definitely a must-see place if you want to go photograph some waterfalls. So the falls are surrounded by a beautiful green color in the spring and the summer. This photo was taken in May, and you can just see all the green color around it, and it's awesome. Also, if you wanted to go check this out in the fall, the colors I'm sure will be amazing. You get those pretty fall colors. Or if you go in the winter, if it lightly snows, then the mountains and the rocks and stuff in the area will all be lightly covered in snow, and it will also look amazing, I'm sure. So this is something that you can go check out year round. Whenever you end up going, I hope that these tips help you take photos like this and even better ones. On that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and feel free to leave any questions or comments in the comment section below, and I will leave a link to my Instagram that you can check out photos like this and other ones that I've taken. And if you want to see any of those photos featured in a video like this, let me know. That is it for today, and this has been Multnomah Falls, and I will see you guys in the next one.